Oh, boy.
Yep.
We're recording now.
Keep it clean,
Okay.
people.
Meeting has been called to order, and we are moving on to the approval of the prior meeting minutes. And I believe one person was not at that meeting and can't vote. Are we talking about the regular meeting minutes or the special meeting minutes? Both. We're talking about both. So I make it two motions only because
All right.
I don't think everybody's here at the special meeting. So a motion to accept the minutes of the February 24th regular meeting of the Board of Trustees. I'll entertain a motion to accept.
So
Aye.
moved.
And a second.
Aye.
Second.
And all in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And entertain a motion to accept the March 16th special remote meeting of the Board of Trustees.
Aye from
And I need a
Cecilia.
second.
Who's the second?
And all in favor, please say aye.
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 Who seconded?
I'll second Kathy. Amanda.
Thank you.
And I don't believe there are any members of the public on the call, so we'll proceed at this time to the director's report. Karen, if you're ready.
Ready as I'll ever be.
All righty.
I hope that you'll forgive me for not including too much of a director's report in the packet. It's been rather interesting and very busy. We worked all last week making sure that we had what we needed to do our work from home, or at least as much of our work that we could possibly do from home. Our staff, I mean, I really are I'm indebted to many of our staff members, because without many of them, this would be really, really tough. Our department heads have all been working with their departments to identify ways that they can help out. They've been working on setting people up with various technologies, some of their work, setting people up with various training sessions. Allison, working, I don't know how many hours she's been working to make sure that we have all the technologies in place that we need. She's working right now on getting a secondary phone system in place through Zoom, which will allow us to take and make calls from home to and from our public. And we're setting up scheduled phone shifts so that when the public call the library at a particular, between certain hours, they can get an actual person to help them. In addition to that, she's working on getting as many of the circulation staff as possible access to the ILS system so that they can help people with their library and things like that. People need to have their library card numbers, and they need to know their PINs for their library card numbers to access a lot of the digital resources that are available to us. Mallory has been amazing at sending out as much communication as she possibly can on a very regular basis, and has been great doing that. And the departments are also working to set up as many programs as we can remotely at this point. So Trish Sabini did a streaming story time last Thursday. She's going to continue to do that. Kevin did a, I can't remember what he calls it. It's like a use your brain, I think.
It's great.
It's so cute.
Mm-hmm.
The citizenship classes that were supposed to be ending at the end of the month are moving to remote classes. They're going to start next week that way, and then they'll finish out their classes in that manner. And so, that's what we've been working on. Kathy and Bob and Karen and I have been working on trying to get the critical things that we need to do in the business office sorted out, such as payroll, paying bills, banking, and that kind of thing. So we've all been incredibly busy and successful in many cases, and we're still working on things in other cases.
Impressive. Do we need to sign for bill paying?
Well, that's what we're trying to work on. Right now, we have it so that Bob can run, Kathy brought Bob down invoices for he has QuickBooks from home and can make the list of checks in there.
Wow.
Kathy checks, right, Kathy?
I can what?
You can run checks.
Yeah, if I have to come into the building, though, that's another story.
Another story. but it's the, so the physical mechanics of it can work out as long as we're all quarantined. Is how are we going to handle the approvals?
Lost that, at least that, I couldn't hear you.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you faded out.
Sorry, Doc. The mechanics of actually processing the invoices and cutting the checks, we have more or less figured out, unless we're all quarantined, in which case then we're back to square one. But as far as the approval process, that we're not quite sure how we're going to handle that.
Okay.
I mean, short of delivering packets of invoices to every trustee home.
I mean, I'm around if I need to show up at a room or something.
Okay.
I'm also around, depending on the week. The bank is still open, so I
Okay.
could sign them at the bank,
All right.
Arcadian.
Yeah, and I
So,
could drive to the driveway and sign them if you need me to.
Yeah, we could work that out.
Yeah.
Well, can I suggest what John does on his reports is he has electronic signature that is valid, and he, when he finishes his reports and sends it electronically, he just adds his electronic signature. So I believe if you had our electronic signatures and we sent them to you, you know, you could scan in the top 3 pages where you summarize the bills, and then we could sign them electronically and send them back to you.
You could, but the auditor wants the trustees to be inspecting each and every invoice, and that's what we would have to figure out how to do.
Well, it's like open meetings law. Maybe they will change that.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as you inspect them and you have 2 trustees, I thought that was acceptable, but.
Yes, no. Yes, but I need to be able to get the materials myself, and I need to be able to get the materials to the trustee.
Sure.
And right now, just so that you know, I'm in quarantine. So
Right. No.
right now, Kathy's not, but who knows? That could change. Everything is changing so fast. And,
Mhm.
we just,
Yeah.
we have a plan today, and then tomorrow the plan has to change. That's been our experience for the last 2 weeks.
Well, my neighborhood has been very busy with
FedEx.
FedEx and, you know, all the delivery trucks, so we could certainly do FedEx.
Who's going out? I'm not going out. Who's going out to do that?
That would be a little cumbersome. And it would take.
No, they come to your house, they pick it up, and then they deliver it.
I don't need to.
I mean, I'm
see all the
just throwing that out there
invoices.
since you said that everyone has to look at the actual bills, so I don't know.
Well, right now we've been keeping with our regular routine, which is 3 people look at the bills. 3 trustees have been looking at the bills.
Right.
It's been Matt, Althema, and Cecilia. And we can keep doing that, but we just have to figure out the logistics of all that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Curbside drop off.
Drive through. Oh.
So there's no solution right now at this moment. It's in the process of being solved.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And Karen, you started off apologizing for not having written a report for us that was available to read, but personally, I feel like you have been sending out these detailed emails.
Exactly.
Ditto.
accounting for everything you're doing. And if you wanted to use those as your weekly report,
Yep.
or a monthly report or board report for us, I'm just as fine as
Yes.
it could be with that.
I appreciate.
Absolutely.
I guess I had, all sorts of things happened before March 12th or 13th that I've just completely forgotten about at this point. So those are the things that you're missing.
Now, is WLS helping at all anymore, or they're just completely
Yeah.
absent?
Good question.
Let me take a drink first.
They've taken a rather,
Didn't know we were having cocktails.
Afterward. They have not been as helpful as I would have liked.
Yeah.
One
Like
of the
nothing.
challenges, as you probably know, there was not a lot of communication that came from Terry or from WLS while we were all trying to figure things out last week and get guidance.
Yeah.
So thank goodness the director's email list was extremely helpful, because we all just relied on each other, passed information, tried to figure things out that way.
Mhm.
Right now we're trying to get WLS to open up better access to VDI and to the ILS Evergreen for us, so that we can more easily do our work from home. Right now, they have a number of roadblocks up. They're slowly lifting some of those roadblocks, but it's not nearly enough for us. So a number of us
Yeah.
are pushing to get them to help us do our work.
Yeah, WLS has really taken a passive stance. For them, it's business as usual. They're not doing anything out of the ordinary. They're not reaching out to the directors, not reaching out to trustees. They have a website which they feel is sufficient. If you want to look up something, you can go there and get it, but there's no outreach. And they don't have that in their DNA, and it's unfortunate,
Right.
Well, it will be remembered.
Yes.
sadly. So Karen, was there anything under the operating budget or the revenue report or payroll approvals? We talked about payroll approvals.
No, you received the financial documents from Bob. Those were in your packet. Payroll approvals are the same problem as we're going to have with the invoices. So
Yeah.
we'll figure those two things out simultaneously, hopefully.
So the WLS hiccup that we're having for the last weekend now, does that mean that we can't declare our position as far as our vote not to pay for the IT support?
Well, we already sent the check with the letter of protest.
Ah, that's right. That's right. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Can I just ask a quick question? You had talked to us in one of your messages about the VDI, and how will that work, and do you expect that that will work?
So right now, what's going on is those of us who need access to VDI from home, and VDI includes Evergreen, it's the only way we can
Right.
get Evergreen. We have
Yeah.
to have whitelisted IP addresses in our home. And each
Oh.
library is only allowed to send WLS 11 IP addresses. So 11 people, that's it. Only 11 people are able to access VDI and Evergreen. Now we got in a little bit, we're getting away with something right now. We have 7 hotspots that we had WLS whitelist for a couple weeks ago. And so those hotspots, anybody who has those hotspots in their home, we sent those around when we knew we were going to be working from home. They are still able to get in to WLS or to, I'm sorry, VDI and Evergreen. But still, we have numerous staff members beyond that number who need to be able to get into Evergreen and VDI to do their work. And
Yeah.
every other library or library system who uses Evergreen in the country does not need to go through VDI to get to it. It is a web-based software.
Yeah.
So they've set it up this way for whatever reason, and we're stuck with this right now.
Is that what they were trying to modify, Karen?
It ended up, what they ended up doing, we thought they were going to open it up for
Oh,
us
yeah.
to get in
Yeah.
freely, or with some sort of authentication, I'm sure. But instead, they just opened up the possibility of each library having 11 whitelisted IP addresses.
Oh.
That was their solution.
And the solution was just handed down. There was no input from the directors.
Correct. There was complaining from the directors about why we needed something else and what we needed to do, and that was the solution that was given to us.
And I reached out to WLS, but I never got an answer. You don't expect them to hold their meeting, the March meeting, do you?
I haven't heard anything.
You
And
do.
I usually get the notifications of that.
Right.
I didn't get anything.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
I have one more question. Karen, you've set up so that there is a librarian always available to answer questions from our patrons who call in. Are you getting a lot of calls?
Not very many right now, but we haven't publicized it too much because we're still working out the kinks.
Okay.
We've set some hours to it. So we're saying that we will be answering phones from 10 until 6 Monday through Friday and 11 until 3 on Saturday. But people can leave voicemails anytime within or outside of those hours. And the staff will be checking the voicemail accounts and getting back to people.
Okay, thank you.
No, you're welcome. And we've, like I've said to all of my staff as we go along with this, we need to sort of assess how things go with doing it this way. And then we may need to adjust either the hours or how we handle it as we go along.
Assuming we get back to what we would call a normal schedule soon, do you see that, is there a sense that maybe the way the library functions is changing, that the trends towards remote learning or digital applications has now been accelerated by all of this?
Well, by necessity, we're all learning how to do it now, where many of us did not know how to do it before. So when things get back to normal eventually, I hope, well, I'm sure it will happen. We now know how to do all these things that we didn't know how to do 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, or we heard about in theory, but we just didn't have time to think about it. So, this, as horrible as this is and as difficult as it is, it's actually a really great learning opportunity for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Can the construction work still continue this week?
As of right now, it is. Our buildings and ground staff have continued to report for work at the library.
Wow.
They're amazing. I love them dearly. They've been amazing through this whole thing. And the construction, Clean Air is still willing to send their people. So as of right now, the construction is still going on in the library.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Well, they're trying to keep a lot of construction sites. Your husband was still going to work, right?
Was until he.
Right. So they're trying to keep construction sites open so people are working.
So under the committee reports, I have nothing new under the president's report. Does policy and bylaws and personnel have anything to report at this time?
You have nothing to report, but I have a question for Karen and the rest of the committee. Is this a time when it would be, you had a couple of policies that you were presenting the last time to your department heads to get their feedback on them.
Yes.
And once you did that, then you were going to present them to us again.
Yes.
Is that still in the works? Is it worth pursuing at this time, or would you rather put it off indefinitely?
Give me another week or two to continue to figure things out. But yes, I have to, hopefully I didn't save them in VDI. Hopefully I saved them in my Google Drive. But I have all of the ones that were ready to get sent to the policy committee are ready to get sent to the policy committee. I just have to find them.
Okay, because it seems like if that works out for you, it could be something we can work with online, doing a Zoom meeting, and just sort of help you get those policies in place.
Yeah, once I get my hands on them, that will be easy to do.
Okay.
Can you remember what those policies were by any chance or not?
For anything before March 13th.
Okay. Okay.
I probably can look it up now while we continue talking.
I don't believe that there's anything new with the finance committee. Anything buildings and grounds? Karen, is there anything from Molly perhaps, or?
No, nothing other than the construction project.
Okay.
I will say Molly is also gathering quotes from security camera companies because we have to finish out that project. We have to finish out that project by the end of the fiscal year, which might be a little bit of a challenge. But as soon as she has those, then I'll send them along to you to review. I think the board is going to need to approve one. It's above it'll be above the threshold.
Okay. Amanda, whenever you're ready, you could just jump in. If there's nothing new from the foundation committee, we can move on to the resolutions. And
I'll go back. Sorry, Matt. The ones where there was one on continuing education, another one on the security cameras, and I believe I had work to do on 2 other ones. So that's where we were. 4 policies altogether.
Thanks, Amanda.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you. So the first resolution is number 45, the approval of the services by Baldessari Costa LLP for the audit of fiscal year ending June 30th, 2020.
Wait a minute, Matt.
Don't we do personnel changes first?
44 first.
Oh, you want to do 44 first? Okay, thank you. 44, the personnel changes, as noted by Lucinda. Resolved that the Board of Trustees approves the following personnel changes. Were there any comments before we request a vote or any explanation needed on these? There are no questions. If it's a part-time position, I'll entertain a motion to accept Resolution 44 as worded. And
Accept.
a second. And all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And now
Aye.
on to Resolution 45.
Okay, excuse me on 45, Matt.
Yes.
Sorry, I totally forgot to scan the letter of agreement. So I emailed Al this morning, but I never received an answer. So we could table it for the next meeting if you want.
Okay.
Well, if you know the, well, I guess we could table it. It's not that urgent.
Yeah.
So table.
Table it, okay.
And we're up to 46, approval of the 2020-2021 proposed budget. Resolved that the proposed budget for 2020 through 2021, the Board of Trustees of the Ossining Public Library of $4,280,074.57 be approved, and the Ossining Union School District be authorized to levy and collect the sum of $4,163,175 as a necessary tax thereof. I will entertain a motion to accept Resolution 46 as read.
So moved.
And a second.
Aye.
All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Karen, I have a question. I was thinking the other day that if, God forbid, the budget vote did not take place
Mhm.
and the school budget and the library budget were not approved and the trustees were not voted on.
Mhm.
I don't know if we have anything written for a policy or how would we proceed?
Yeah.
So we are still waiting to hear what is happening with the budget votes. We just have to wait and see what happens. In a normal circumstance,
I can't hear.
Can't
Your
hear.
audio's bad.
am I breaking up?
Yes.
Yeah, you're breaking up.
Let me just wait a
Tell
second.
Liam to stop playing a game.
It's a good idea.
It's probably your bandwidth.
Not
The
yet.
Wi-Fi.
Here, is this better now?
Yes, whatever you did.
Okay, I didn't do anything. I just waited. So under normal circumstances, if we did vote on our budget, if we did have our budget vote and our budget was voted down, our current year's budget would be the budget
Yeah.
voted.
Contingency.
That's the only thing I can say at this point in time. We just have to wait and see what's going to happen.
Well, and hopefully, if we don't vote in May, we can vote in June or July.
Right.
That, they'll set another day
Right.
for the election because every school district in the state, with the exception of the big five, has to vote on their budgets.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that there will be an alternative date put forward. So we'll see.
So beyond that, do you anticipate if that unforeseeable event occurs, that we would have funding, we would have tax revenues coming into the accounts? Would there be a disruption perhaps?
Right now, we have a healthy unallocated fund balance that can get us through for a bit. We also have been very underspent this year because of positions that weren't filled or weren't filled right away. So anything could happen, but at this moment in time, I'm not that concerned about it right now.
But hypothetically, if the funding didn't arrive, do you think those funds would carry us through a quarter, through a month?
Well, the funds generally do carry us through October because we don't tend to get the tax revenue.
The
until
levy, right?
now.
Yeah.
If that's delayed even further, I would have to have a conversation with Bob. But like I said, we do have a very healthy fund balance.
Okay.
The tricky thing is we're spending down our capital fund with our construction
Right.
Right.
position that we're going to be getting that 400 and whatever
Back.
$11,000 grant. Now, who knows what's going to happen with the state and that grant? The money's there in their budget. It's from their last year's budget, so there's no reason why we shouldn't get that grant, but everything is unknown right now.
Obviously, but I just wanted to bring it to the forefront of your mind and everyone else's. So if we have to have this conversation, at least we'll have discussed it briefly.
Yep.
That's all.
Right, but,
Well, can I just,
go ahead.
could I just add that in 2010 and 2011, and those were the 2 years I was off the board, the budget did go down and they had to revote in September. And it wasn't really problematic because you have your previous budget that carries you through. And Kathy could probably back me up on this, but at the time, it was probably because both those years we voted at the library. Jim had moved the election to the library. So it was able to be voted down much more easily because not as many people turned out. And then in
That was the
2012, it
second
went
time.
back to the high school. So there were those 2 years in a row where we had a budget voted down.
No, the first
So we
time
did go
year
through
in
this.
2010, it was
10,
voted
yeah.
down at the school district vote. And then it was passed, I believe, when we had it at the library. The next year, the public
Oh,
didn't
okay.
like that we had it at the library and they voted us
Oh,
down.
okay.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what happened.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
If
But
my
anyway, we went
memory's
through
correct.
this. We did go through that. So,
Well, we're up to
Yep.
old business. And
but we've never not had trustee elections, so that is
Yeah.
a concern.
That is a
Have you had other applications besides
No.
Matt? And,
No, just you and me. Well, I don't even know. Are you two running?
yes.
Yes.
It's the signatures that's the problem. So we have to
Yeah.
wait and see because
Okay.
that's different.
Yeah.
Under old business, I don't have anything new in the long-range strategic plan, and I don't think it's an urgent matter at this time.
Nope.
No.
Agreed.
Because we haven't been in touch with any consultants on a regular basis. Everything seems to be on hold. And the WLSIT, I don't suppose there's anything in addition that you've already shared with us. And I don't see the situation changing anytime soon, unfortunately. We talked about the budget and mentioned the 2 seats available. Does anyone have any new business or any questions for something that they wanted to bring up at this?
Just curious if Bonnie has a return to work date yet?
Not yet.
Okay, that's it.
How is she?
She's doing okay. I've been checking in with her weekly and by
Okay.
email mostly. Her spirits seem to be good and she's going along with her treatment. You know, it's just something that she has to go through step by step.
Yeah.
It was great to read the reports from Ignira and Diana about their attendance at the conference.
Yes,
Yeah.
They really enjoyed it.
yes, they did. They got a lot out of it.
Yeah, and the reports were really, really well done and very thoughtful.
Yes. I'll pass that feedback along to them. They'll be happy.
Good.
Karen, do we have any items that we have to discuss in executive session?
Something brief. That's it.
Okay.
Well,
Then at
I
this
guess
time-
you can make sure who's joined the meeting and who isn't, right?
You want us to take attendance, you're saying, or?
No, as long as no one's listening into your executive session, I'm leaving.
No
Ah.
one's
It's motioning.
Okay.
So we'll take a motion to end the meeting and go into executive this time. And the second,
I'll second.
all in favor, say aye.
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 Kathy, thank you very much.
Okay, just note the end of when you adjourn the meeting and let me know that, okay?
I will text you.
Oh, good.
I
See that?
promise.
We're such a team. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Be
Bye.
safe, Kathy.
Thank you. Let
Be
me just
safe.
figure out how to get out. Yes,
Bye,
everyone.
Kathy.
Bye.
Open
How do
up.
I get out of this?
Oh, no.
Now, wait a minute. There I go, right? Yes. Do you want to leave the meeting? No.
all
Okay,
right.
thank you.
Stop the recording
All right.
just so that you can end the meeting.
It's done.
You need a motion to adjourn the meeting now.
I made it all.
Yes, a motion.
And the motion and the meeting at this time So moved, and a second, a
Aye.
second. All
Okay.
in favor? Aye.
Good night. Bye-bye.
All right, everybody, be safe.
Stay well.
Good
Yep.
night.
Good night. Bye.
Bye.